High walls, razor wire, guard towers, reinforced gates. Prisons are built to keep people in, which means they're also built to keep people out. When the zombie apocalypse hits, a prison starts looking like the ultimate fortress. Secure, defensible, self-contained. But is it actually a good survival location? Or are you just trading one prison for another? Welcome to Survival Theorem, where we analyze survival with logic, not assumptions. Today, we're breaking down whether prisons are viable zombie apocalypse shelters. The Walking Dead made it look good for a while, but that's fiction. Let's examine the reality. Are prisons brilliant survival locations, or are they just well-fortified death traps? Let's find out. Let's start with why prisons look so appealing as survival locations, because the advantages are genuinely compelling. First and most obvious, fortifications. Prisons are designed to contain dangerous people who want to escape. That means serious security infrastructure. High concrete or brick walls, often 20 to 30 feet tall. Multiple perimeter fences with razor wire. Guard towers positioned for overlapping fields of fire and vision. Reinforced gates that can withstand ramming. Some facilities even have moats or ditches. These aren't symbolic barriers. These are real fortifications designed to stop determined humans. If they can stop humans, they can definitely stop zombies. You've got a ready-made fortress that would take enormous resources and time to build from scratch. Second, controlled access points. Prisons have limited entry points by design, typically one main entrance and maybe one or two service entrances. That's it. Everything else is solid wall. You can defend a small number of choke points much more easily than defending a building with dozens of doors and windows. Limited access means limited vulnerability. Third, internal security zones. Prisons are built in layers. Outer perimeter, inner perimeter, cell blocks, administrative areas. Each section can be locked down independently. If the outer wall is breached, you fall back to the next layer. If a cell block is compromised, you seal it off. You've got multiple defensive fallback positions built into the architecture. Fourth, secure sleeping quarters. Cells are designed to lock. Steel doors, small windows with bars. Each person or small group can have a secure space that can be locked from the outside. You can sleep without worrying about zombies breaking in during the night. That psychological security is huge for long-term survival. Fifth, existing infrastructure. Prisons have kitchens designed to feed hundreds or thousands, industrial laundries, medical facilities with examination rooms and supplies, workshops with tools, libraries, recreation yards, power generation, often including backup generators, water systems with storage tanks, sewage treatment. Everything you need to sustain a population is already built and functional. Sixth, supplies and resources. Prisons stockpile food for the inmate population, usually with reserves for weeks or months. Medical supplies for the infirmary, clothing and bedding, cleaning supplies, maintenance tools, security equipment. You're not starting from nothing. You've got a supply depot ready to go. Seventh, agricultural potential. Many prisons have yards, gardens, or even farm areas where inmates work. You've got open land within the secure perimeter where you can grow food. Some facilities have greenhouses or livestock areas. That's sustainability built in. Eighth, psychological advantage. Living in a prison gives you a sense of security that most survival locations can't match. You're behind walls that were designed by professionals to be impenetrable. You can relax, at least somewhat. That mental break from constant fear and vigilance helps prevent psychological breakdown. And finally, prisons are often located away from major population centers. Authorities don't want prisons in dense urban areas. They're usually in rural or semi-rural locations. That means lower zombie density in the surrounding area. You're not surrounded by millions of infected like you would be in a city. You've got space and distance. So on paper, prisons look incredible. Professional fortifications, controlled access, layered security, existing infrastructure, supplies, and agricultural potential. It seems perfect. But here's the problem. Every advantage comes with a catch, and some of those catches are deadly. Problem number one. If you're thinking about taking over a prison, you're not the only one. Prisons are obvious targets. When society collapses and people are looking for safe locations, prisons are at the top of the list. Everyone with basic tactical knowledge realizes that prisons are fortified shelters. That means you're competing with potentially hundreds or thousands of other survivors trying to secure the same location. If the prison is already occupied by staff or inmates or early arriving survivors, you're not getting in peacefully. They're not opening the gates for strangers. Why would they? Every person they let in is another mouth to feed and a potential threat. So either you're inside already, or you're attacking a fortified position to take it by force. Attacking a prison is a nightmare. That's literally what they're designed to prevent. High walls, limited access, elevated defensive positions. If there are people inside who don't want you there, you're facing a siege situation. And sieges require overwhelming force, heavy equipment, or long waiting periods to starve defenders out. Most survivor groups don't have those resources. And here's the worst scenario. The prison is still operational when the outbreak starts. Guards, staff, and inmates are all there. What happens? Chaos. The guards are trying to maintain control. The inmates are panicking or rioting. Some inmates might be infected. The facility descends into violence. By the time you arrive, it might be a war zone with armed factions fighting for control. Even if you manage to get inside, you're immediately in conflict with whoever else is there. Different groups, different agendas, competing for limited resources and authority. That's not a safe haven. That's a powder keg. Problem number 2. Prisons were built to keep people in, which means they also keep you in. Yes, the walls keep zombies out, but they also trap you inside. If something goes wrong, if the zombie horde outside grows too large, if the walls are breached, if supplies run out, you can't easily leave. You're locked in a box. Prisons typically have limited or single exit points. If that exit is compromised or blocked by zombies, you're trapped. There's no back door, no alternate route. You're inside a fortress that just became your tomb. And here's the critical point. Mobility is survival. The ability to relocate when conditions change, when threats emerge, when resources deplete. Being locked in a fixed position removes that option. You're committed. If you chose wrong, you die. Problem number 3. Prisons are designed for control, not comfort, or long-term habitation in crisis conditions. The infrastructure is industrial and minimal. Cells are small, bare concrete or cinder block rooms. Heating and cooling are often inadequate. Natural light is limited. It's designed to be functional for housing prisoners under normal conditions with full utilities and supply chains. When those systems fail, and they will, the prison becomes brutal. No power means no heating in winter, no cooling in summer. You're living in concrete boxes that become ovens in heat or freezers in cold. People die from exposure. No water pressure means toilets don't flush. With hundreds of people and no working plumbing, sanitation collapses immediately. Disease spreads. The prison becomes a biohazard. The kitchens require power to operate. Refrigerators and freezers fail. Food spoils. You're down to non-perishables, and those run out. The agricultural areas help, but can you really grow enough food to feed hundreds of people year-round? Most prison farms were supplemental, not primary food sources. Problem number 4. Internal conflict is almost guaranteed. Prisons often house violent criminals. Murderers, rapists, gang members. If the prison is still occupied when the outbreak starts, these people are still there. And when authority collapses, when guards lose control, what happens? The worst elements take over. The most violent, the most ruthless, they establish dominance. If you're not one of them, you're a victim. Women are especially vulnerable. Anyone perceived as weak becomes a target. The prison doesn't become a community of survivors working together. It becomes Lord of the Flies with walls. Even if the inmates are gone and it's just civilian survivors, conflict still emerges. Competition for resources, leadership disputes, different groups with different values. Prisons have finite supplies and finite space. When resources get tight, people fight. And in an enclosed space with nowhere to go, those conflicts are deadly. Problem number 5. Prisons are targets for hostile groups. Other survivor groups see a prison and they see weapons, supplies, fortifications. They want it. They'll attack to take it. You're not just defending against zombies. You're defending against organized, intelligent humans with weapons and tactics. And here's the problem. Prisons are static targets. Everyone knows where they are. You can't hide. You can't relocate. You're sitting in a known location, waiting for someone to come take it from you. That's a losing strategy long term. Governments or military remnants might also claim the prison. They have more firepower than you. They show up and demand you surrender the facility. What do? Fight the military? Surrender and hope they let you stay? Either option is bad. Problem number 6. Psychological factors destroy morale. Living in a prison is psychologically damaging. It's designed to be oppressive and controlling. The architecture is deliberately unpleasant. Narrow corridors, small cells, limited natural light, constant surveillance infrastructure reminding you you're trapped. Even if you're there voluntarily for safety, your brain recognizes the environment as a prison. Depression sets in, anxiety increases, cabin fever develops, people start breaking down mentally, suicide rates go up, violence increases. The longer you're there, the worse it gets. And children? Raising children in a prison environment damages their psychological development. They grow up in a literal cage. That's not survival. That's existing in trauma. Problem number 7. Limited resources and no resupply. Prisons were never designed to be fully self-sufficient indefinitely. They relied on regular deliveries of food, medicine, fuel, and other supplies. When those deliveries stop, you're living on what's there, and that runs out. The food stockpiles last weeks, maybe a few months with rationing. Then you're dependent on whatever you can grow or scavenge. Can you grow enough to feed everyone? Do you have seeds? Agricultural knowledge? Fertilizer? Water for irrigation? Medical supplies deplete. When someone gets seriously ill or injured, you might not have the medicine or equipment to save them. People die from treatable conditions. Fuel for generators runs out. Then you lose power. Without power, you lose most of your advantages. You're living in a dark, cold, or hot concrete fortress with no running water and no way to preserve food. Problem 8. The zombie horde problem. Prisons are visible landmarks. Large, prominent. Zombies gravitate toward noise and activity. If you're living in a prison, making noise, zombies accumulate outside. Hundreds, thousands, eventually tens of thousands if you're near a populated area. They don't leave. They don't get bored. They just wait, pushing against the walls, testing the fences. Eventually, the sheer weight and pressure causes failures. A fence section collapses, a gate buckles, a wall develops cracks. Something gives, and when it does, the horde pours in. You're not repelling them one at a time. You're facing a flood of infected. Can you contain it? Can you fall back to inner defenses? Maybe. But your fortress just became compromised, and you're running out of space to retreat. Let's walk through the realistic timeline of what happens when survivors try to hold a prison during a zombie apocalypse. Week 1, the honeymoon phase. You've secured the prison. Zombies are outside, but the walls are holding. You've got supplies, you've got security. People are organizing, assigning roles, setting up sleeping areas, establishing routines. Morale is good. Everyone feels safe for the first time since the outbreak started. Survival rating, 8 out of 10. It actually feels like you might make it. Weeks 2 through 4, reality sets in. The initial supplies are depleting faster than expected. You're feeding a lot of people. Conflicts emerge over rationing and resource allocation. Some people aren't pulling their weight. Others are hoarding. Leadership disputes arise. Who's actually in charge? The horde outside is growing. They're pressing against the fences constantly. You hear them moaning day and night. It's psychologically wearing. Survival rating, 6 out of 10. Still okay, but cracks are showing. Months 2 through 3, the decline. Food is running low. The gardens aren't producing enough yet. You're on strict rations. People are losing weight. Morale is dropping. The horde outside has grown massive. Thousands of them. The fences are sagging under the pressure. Repairs are constant. Fuel reserves are nearly gone. Power is intermittent. Water pressure is failing. Toilets barely work. The smell is terrible. Disease is spreading. People are getting sick. Some die from illness. Internal conflicts escalate into violence. Factions form. Survival rating, 4 out of 10. This is getting bad. Months 4 through 6, the crisis. Most of the food is gone. You're eating whatever you can scavenge or grow, and it's not enough. People are starving, weak, sick. The horde finally breaches the outer fence. It collapses under sustained pressure. Zombies pour into the outer yard. You fall back to inner defenses, but now you've lost half your usable space. The agricultural areas are gone. You're trapped in the inner buildings. No power, no water. Disease is rampant. People are dying daily, some from starvation, some from disease, some from violence as survivors fight over scraps. Survival rating, 2 out of 10. You're dying slowly. Beyond 6 months, if you're still there, you're barely alive. The prison is compromised. Zombies are in multiple areas. You're trapped in a small section with no supplies and no way out. Starvation, disease, or zombies. Pick your death. Survival rating, 0 out of 10. That's the reality. Not years of safety. Months before the prison becomes a death trap. So how does a prison compare to other locations? Prison versus military base. The base has weapons, trained personnel, and better supply chains. The prison has fortifications but limited weapons and untrained survivors. Advantage, base significantly. Prison versus shopping mall. The mall has more supplies initially, but worse security and more people. The prison has better security but fewer supplies. Both are terrible long-term. Slight advantage. Prison for security, but neither is good. Prison versus rural farmhouse. The farmhouse has sustainability, land for farming, water access, and isolation. The prison has walls, but no sustainability and eventually attracts hordes. Long-term advantage, farmhouse, massively. Prison versus bunker. A hidden bunker is better in every way. Security without visibility, supplies without crowds, isolation without siege. Advantage, bunker, overwhelmingly. The prison only wins against obviously bad options like apartments or cruise ships. Against anything with real sustainability or mobility, the prison loses. So if you find yourself considering a prison as a survival location, here's your actual strategy. Only choose a prison if you have no better option. It's a last resort, not a first choice. If you have access to rural land, an isolated home, or any sustainable location, choose that instead. If you must use a prison, limit your group size. Don't try to fill the facility. A small group of 20 to 50 people can sustain themselves longer than hundreds. More people means faster resource depletion and more conflict. Secure the prison before the horde arrives. If you're going to use it, get there early, before massive zombie populations accumulate outside. Once they do, you're trapped. Prioritize agriculture immediately. Don't wait until food runs out. Start planting day 1. Use every available yard, green space, and planting area. Your survival depends on food production. Stockpile fuel and maintain power generation. Without power, the prison becomes unlivable. Ration fuel carefully. Set up solar panels if possible. Find alternative power sources. Establish strict governance and rules. Prevent internal conflict before it starts. Clear leadership. Fair resource distribution. Consequences for violence or theft. Order prevents chaos. Plan your exit strategy. Don't commit to the prison forever. It's temporary. Have vehicles fueled and ready. Have escape routes planned. Have a destination in mind for when you need to leave. And you will need to leave. Leave before collapse. When you see supplies hitting critical levels, when the horde grows too large, when conflicts escalate, you go. Don't wait for total breakdown. Evacuate while you still can. Best case scenario, you secure a small, rural prison with minimal initial horde presence. Your group is small, disciplined, and skilled. You establish agriculture quickly. You maintain power and water. You avoid internal conflict. You use the prison as a temporary base for 6 to 12 months while you prepare a more sustainable long-term location. Then you leave before things fall apart. Survival rating, 6 out of 10. Possible, but difficult. Worst case scenario? You arrive at a prison that's already contested by inmates, guards, or other survivors. Violence erupts. The facility is damaged in the fighting. The horde outside is already massive. Supplies are depleted or destroyed. Internal factions fight constantly. The walls eventually fail. Everyone dies. Survival rating, 1 out of 10. Almost certain death. So here's the final verdict on prison survival. Survival rating, 5 out of 10. The pros: professional fortifications designed to be impenetrable, controlled access with limited entry points, layered internal security zones, secure sleeping quarters, existing infrastructure for power and water, supply stockpiles, agricultural potential within secure perimeter, and psychological sense of safety. The cons: high-value target that everyone wants, walls trap you inside with no mobility, infrastructure fails without utilities, internal conflict among survivors is almost guaranteed, visible static target for hostile groups, psychologically oppressive environment damages morale, limited resources with no resupply, and zombie hordes accumulate and eventually breach defenses. The bottom line: prisons are decent short-term survival locations if you can secure them early and maintain discipline. But they're not long-term solutions. They're temporary fortresses with expiration dates. The walls that protect you also trap you. The security that keeps zombies out also prevents escape when things go wrong. The smart strategy is to use a prison as a transitional location. Secure it. Use the resources and safety to prepare for the next phase. Build up supplies. Rest and recover. Plan your permanent location. Then leave before the prison becomes a tomb. Prisons aren't ultimate fortresses. They're well-fortified traps. And staying too long turns survival into a slow death sentence. So are prisons good in a zombie apocalypse? For a few months, maybe. Long term? No. The walls can't save you when the supplies run out and the horde never leaves. You're not surviving. You're just dying behind bars instead of in the streets. That's the survival theorem on prisons. They're better than nothing, but worse than almost anything sustainable. Use them if you must. But don't stay, because the ultimate prison isn't one you choose to enter. It's the one you can't leave. Subscribe for more tactical survival analysis. Next time we're comparing prisons to castles to see which medieval or modern fortress actually survives better. We're also breaking down more celebrity survival scenarios and worst-case outbreak locations. Stay sharp, stay mobile, and remember, the best fortress is the one you can walk away from when you need to. Stay alive.